Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. So excited to be here with you, and the reason I say good morning, good afternoon, and evening is we have people registered for this webinar from all over the world and all sorts of different time zones. So we want to greet you where you are, whether it's your morning, your afternoon, or your evening. We appreciate you being here with us today. We have a fully packed schedule. The topic for today is a channel sales workshop. Accelerate your channel sales by deploying your ideal partner profile. So some ground rules for today. Get ready to do some thinking and create a winning strategy. This is a working webinar, and you will see in the chat a download link where you can go and download the worksheet for your ideal partner profile, and it's a multi-page document. But please download that or have it up on another screen so that you can follow along when we get to that portion. All participants will be on mute when we go through this. Please type any questions you have in the question pane, and we may bring it in during the webinar or wait until the Q&A. The total time will be about 45 minutes of presentation. Be prepared by shutting off any other devices that may distract you because we have a lot of great information to share with you. We are going to be recording it and sending it to anybody that has registered. And again, here is the link to download the ideal partner profile document, and it's also in the chat. Our agenda for today is I'll introduce our two speakers. Then we're going to do some setup so that you understand our rationale behind how we created, SaaSMAX created the ideal partner profile. We're going to talk about partner recruitment myths and blunders. What is the ideal partner profile? What does it really mean? We'll talk about the return on investment, the ROI, and a data-driven ideal partner profile strategy. And then we're going to dive right in for the bulk of the webinar and actually take you through filling it out, which is why we want you to be there, be present, and download. And then once you're done with that, we want you to rev up and take your channel partner program to the next level. So let's introduce our two speakers for today. Come on to camera, Dina Moskowitz and Clinton Gatewood. So we've got Dina Moskowitz, the CEO and founder of PartnerOptimizers by SaaSMAX, and Clinton Gatewood, our VP of Client Success. Welcome to the webinar. So excited to be here with you guys today. You have so much to share from all your experiences in the channel for so many years.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to share what we've been doing over the last 3, 4, 5 years and where we've really come with the ideal partner profile. So I'm the VP of Client Services and Success, and great working with all of our customers and our clients. And so it's just a really, really great time, and it's really fun in the market. So we'll talk more about that. Dina, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks for taking time for this workshop today. And I'm excited about it because SaaSMAX has invested a lot of time and energy over the last few years to help companies learn what their ideal partner profiles are. And we now have had several years behind us and have real metrics and ROI to share and explain how we've refined the process to allow channel leaders, whether you're customers or not, to be able to do a better job of planning your channel and flipping it over from a 20-80 activation rate to an 80-20 activation. So I'm excited to be here and talk about it from a standpoint of real proof, real metrics, and to hopefully create a better qualified world of channel leaders.
All right, well, with that last note from you, I am going to turn it over to the two of you so that you can dive right in.
Okay, let's do it. So I'll kick this off. So we wanted to start off by talking about partner recruitment myths and partner recruitment blunders that we've experienced and seen channel chiefs experience over, ever since inception. First one of them, and I'll just tackle them one by one. Buying an industry or competitor contact list of partners is all you need. That's usually a great way to start. But since we know that only 20% of partners are typically active in the first place, it means that if you're starting with your competitors' partners, probably most of them are inactive in the first place as well. And the ones who are active are probably very loyal and to that competitor. So let's reveal that myth and say it's a nice strategy, but it's really not going to ultimately move the needle. And we've seen a lot of channel chiefs come to us to basically say that they did that, but now what? The other one is that when you recruit an ideal partner, it's all about having the right contact information for that partner company. Well, what we've learned is really it's first about finding the right partner company. Once you find the right partner company, then you want to talk to any and every contact in that company until you get that company committed to selling your product. So instead of starting with contacts and tons of spray and pray campaigns, start with the right companies first and then go there. Clinton, you want to take the next two, three?
Yeah, sure. The size of the partner company is the most important indicator, and that's not always true. I hear it all the time, and it was my experience when I was growing channels as well, as you get some really good companies out there and smaller companies that really focus on who you are and really align with who you are and really take it to town. So a lot of times the bigger companies, if you look at some of the bigger resellers out there, they're just going to sell anything that they can and anything that the customer wants. And in many cases, they come to you because they have a customer that's asking for you and they just want to be able to make the sale and hold the paper. So really looking at it's not necessarily the size of the company, and also it depends what your product is on how you want to take it there to market. So in casting a web, wide net is bound to work, and you'll catch some fish in that net, there's no doubt. But that's the reason we have the whole 80-20 rule. In many cases, only 10% of channel partners really activate and work really, really well, because you get back to that old thing of, I'm going to make thousands of phone calls, I'm going to sign up everyone and everything, and then you end up saying, what the heck happened? So casting a wide net's not necessarily the big piece. So sales leads, databases, platforms, yeah, they're good as long as you know what partners you want and you go after those particular partners. So I'm good on this side. You want to move on?
Sure. Let's go to the next one. The next one's all about blunders that are made. And we put this slide up, and I don't know if you guys are Trekkie fans or not, but we know Laura is. And so, blunders are in the Star Trek world can be really deadly. And some of them are that, and especially in the channel, is that we spend, and we all do it, spend way too much time and talent, our own talent, on the wrong partners, okay? Millions of dollars lost, it sets us back months, because we're guessing, right? Also, that hiring a channel sales exec for their Rolodex is not the best thing to do, because they may know a lot of great executives in the channel. It doesn't mean that those are the right channel partners for you to bring on. So again, taking and owning control of who the partners are you want to recruit is more important than the Rolodex that you acquire through a channel sales exec. Another one, stop and don't be careful to not invest everything in a single distributor or partner unless you know that they have the right partner companies for you and that they've been able to single them out and say, this is how many we have for you, because otherwise it's the same situation. You're spending too much time on the wrong partners and wrong distributors. Clint, how about you?
Yeah, so investing on partner loyalty really combines with the last one, thinking you have enough channels, partners that you can stop recruiting. You always want to be recruiting. You always want to be in touch with your clients so that they're not pulled some other way. They may get purchased by someone else. So you just got to be careful that you're just not resting back thinking, hey, I've got this great channel. They're not going to go anyplace. They're going to be here forever. And the wrong KPIs. Again, especially in this day and age, with all the noise in the channel marketing areas and how many people are reaching out to these partners, you have to have the right KPIs. And again, it's not about the wide net, getting tons of them. It's about getting the right partners out the gate. So next slide. So, I've recruited channels as large as 12,500 members and been part of that whole success of that channel. And when I look back on it, grown a couple other channels, I get the chance to talk to a lot of channel chiefs. We all know what's going on the left-hand side. I don't have to go through all of this, but just wanted to restate it, is that when I've looked back on why we had this 10-90 or 20-80 or 15% activation and trying to reactivate other ones, it just doesn't work because we recruited the wrong channel in the first place. They just weren't aligned with who we are and what we do. And that's what we're looking to solve here at SaaSMAX as well. So in doing that, we'll move to the next slide. And Dina?
Yeah, so the approach that we've been seeing work really well is to define what your ideal partner is. And that's why we're mostly here today, is we're going to walk you through how to define your ideal partner. And the way we break it down is to build basically a scorecard, a DNA profile of your ideal partner. And we look at things like the company persona. So what kind of business model do they need to have, and what kind of company are they? Are they an MSP or a VAR or a consultant, or maybe they're a digital marketing agency, whatever. What solutions and expertise do they have? What product types are they good at? Then we look at like, what's their tech stack, because in order for you to know that they'll be a good partner for you, they have to be able to sell products that are either adjacent or competing with what your products are already, so that you're not training them on an expertise or a stack, but you know that yours fits in really well. We also are looking at what is their ideal customer profile, because their ideal customer needs to be the same as your ideal customer. If not, it's a total mismatch and you're wasting a lot of time and energy on onboarding and training and engagement and incentives and even other platforms you use to track and monitor your partners. And then expertise and qualifications that they have. Are they already belonging to partner programs of other vendors that are important and make sense to have those skills and certifications? It shows the depth of their technical capabilities and their marketing capabilities. And also you learn about their competencies and what they care about in terms of compliance, so that you can really see how deep they are as a potential channel partner to you. And when you put that all together, that really makes for a great partner, especially once you've identified what your traits are. So next slide. Yeah, and so this is where data-driven ideal partner profiling is changing the game. And we wanted to show you this because we're seeing conversion rates of like 40% versus 1 to 2%. We're seeing reducing your time to find and recruit partners by as much as 50%. And imagine if you have that much more time to be able to work with the best partners as opposed to focusing on the wrong partners. It's game changing. And it all comes down to knowing what your ideal partner profile is, starting with a data-driven perspective. So for example, this is a table where we say, we look at your best performing partners, right? And you can do this on your own or you can do this through us, however, but do this, okay? And so we said among your best performing partners, what are the traits that they have that are most in common? From a data-driven perspective, you can see here, we see security and GRC and hardware and training, et cetera. Now, what's interesting here is that this is a typical example of when we have stakeholders do this for their channel. You see those terms are in gray. But when we do a data-driven profile, letting the data tell us more about the partners, we're seeing all these terms pop up related to that are in purple, that are ones that were never even considered by the channel team. So think about the insights that come up when you see that your partners are also focused on GRC. They're also focused on training. They're also focused on communication and cloud, when you thought some of those things were totally irrelevant to what's important to you. They may not be important to you and your product, but they are important to your partners. And so you want to find partners who look like your most successful partners. Next slide. In addition, when you know the data, you can drive insights that become really strategic and really help your marketing team and all your stakeholders in building a channel to focus on the right partners. So for example, we'll just look at the bottom table here when we look at the vertical market focus. So the best performing partners we analyzed on the left side, and all of the partners we analyzed on the right side. And you can see that of the best performers in this set of data, we learned that banking and financial services was a very important attribute, a very important target market focus to this best set of partners for this product. Now, among all the partners, only 44% of them were focused on that. But you know what? Those 44% should be hyper-targeted, because we already know that your best partners are focused on banking and financial. Let's also find those others in your set and activate those, because you know that they're probably better and to spend time on. So let's go on to the next slide. And I think this is where, yep, Clint is going to talk about the ROI, because this is where it's been super exciting to see and why you guys really should consider this type of strategy.
Yeah, so when you look at really recruiting from or activating or optimizing from an ideal partner profile where you've really aligned up front and you're recruiting in the channel recruitment phase, you're going to find that the languages you're putting out there are going to reduce the time that you need to, that takes a lead to turn into a signed partner. Like Dina said, we're seeing conversion rates of up to 40%. on new partners coming in the door, that they're coming through the marketing and they're getting signed up. So you're reducing that, you're really reducing a lot of that time and spend throughout that whole process of the channel recruitment, and you're bringing in better partners. So when you get into the channel activation, we're seeing 3 times as many of your really greatly aligned partners coming in. So that 80-20 rule is now being broken as what you're bringing in, and you're creating a new 80-20 rule for you, where the 80% is also really effective because you are bringing in more of the right channel partners faster, and you can run leaner on that. Onboarding, the 25 to 50% reduction in time and spend on that area, because again, these partners are aligned, they talk your language, they talk your lingo, they're all right into what you're doing along with you. And as you're optimizing your channel and you're looking at how do I continue to push and drive and bring in more even leads for my partners are bringing leads to us, and we're working on them together, you're increasing your channel revenue much faster, 2 to 4 times your growth rate, as well as you're getting much more digital mind share and presence and brand promotion across your whole partner set. So at the end of the day, it's just a much leaner, easier way of going to market with your channel partners and driving revenue faster, getting that time of revenue quicker. Next slide. So here on this slide, Dina, I think you were gonna take this one too, but Dina will talk more about the ideal partner profile. But you can download this particular sheet right now on the left. We'll give you a few seconds to do that right now. So if you want to go up, get this sheet downloaded, get prepared to fill it out. We're going to start below the foundational questions, but as we get this filled out, you'll have something that you and your team, you can take back to your team as well and work with it and make sure you're getting other stakeholder buy-in on it. We see companies that we work with that go through 4, 5, 6 different people across divisions even coming together, trying to really put the right profile together.
Yeah, and when we go through this worksheet, the reason it's important to do it with us is that we're gonna share some nuances, things you may not have thought about that may be ahas, and we want you to be able to leverage our expertise. That's what we've learned over the last several years with a lot of channel teams. So take the time to do it with us, and you can always go back and fill in your specific form later on. And we do have a special offer for that too, which is pretty cool. But definitely take the time to listen right now, take notes and take notes in your worksheet so that you can really build the great, the optimal one. And that's where we're going to start. So the first thing we're going to do is really at the back of your form, right? Which is right now we're putting at the forefront because of this exercise. We want you to basically spit out, list your 5 to 10 very best performing partners that are reliably driving revenue to your company. Assuming you have them already, most of you do, but if there's 1 or 2 who don't yet, then you can hold off and wait, or put in what you think, if you've already identified some partners that you really want to recruit, you may want to put them down. But in the meantime, put them down. The reason why we want you to start thinking about them, put them to the top of your mind. Who are these companies? What do they do? Who do they sell to? What is their expertise? Why is it that they're really good at selling your product, your solution, compared to others who are not? So I think you probably have gotten at least a few down right now. Keep them in mind, and keep them here also because you're going to share them with your stakeholders to make sure that everyone is on the same page, knowing to be able to reference who these ideal partners are. So let's go to the next slide now. Next slide. Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, so really looking at what does your best partners do, or the best partners you want of the future? What do they do for a living? How do they go to market? What are the solutions and services they're selling? Product types that they have, and the size of the company as well. That can be important. But really, when you look at the business models, you want to put things in there like their MSPs, MSSPs, maybe their ad agencies or website designers, whatever it is that the best business models are for you, because it really describes who they are, what they do, how they go to market, how they range themselves. So very, very important. And what are those solutions and services that are what you need them to be doing for what your products you're selling, as well as what are complementary ones that they might be providing to the marketplace? How are you going to fit into what it is that they're selling in the mind share that they have there? Same with product types. Really looking at they're different than the solutions and services and the product types. As we put some descriptions down here, could be servers, it could be desktops, it could be the dongles, it can be other things as well. So it's just really spend a little bit of time and think about this and really put it down, because this is really a big foundational piece of the partner company persona of what everything else is built on the top of. So go to the next slide.
Yep. Well, I want to mention too, we talk about partner company size here, revenue and employees. Now, that is and could be an important set of information, although it's not always that easy to find, and it's not always honestly reported, right? Especially most partner companies are pretty small. So when you start to do this, you think, well, why is that something we grasp onto so hard? It's in part because you want to know that they have enough people on their team to sell your product, enough experts on their team to understand your product and bring it in. So it makes sense why you care, but at the same time, if they have all of these other features and attributes, it should help to overcome when you can't identify their company size and employee range, because those are really not the best first indicators. You could have small companies that are selling to amazing ideal customers of yours, and you don't want to miss those opportunities.
Excellent. So let's move on to the next slide then. So your customer profile insights. So who are they selling to? You know, are they selling into the same verticals you're looking for? Do they need to be selling into healthcare? Do they need to be selling into law firms or banking or other financial firms? So it's really important to understand what those verticals are, because you want them to align with what you're doing. I know a lot of companies come to us and say, hey, I'm good for any vertical and anyone can use my product because I'm so ubiquitous, but that's okay, and that may be true. But a lot of the resellers in the marketplace today have verticalized who they go after, what their product sets are for. They're going to talk a certain lingo, especially in healthcare and legal and banking and manufacturing. They're going to be talking very specific languages to their buyer personas, and you need to be able to show them how you're going to work with them in those particular verticals. So very, very important. As is customer size, you don't want to be recruiting a partner who all they want to do is sell to small businesses. If you're going into enterprise, they're not going to have those capabilities. They're not going to have the right salespeople. They're not going to have those capabilities to really go to market with you. Even if they fit everything else, you're probably not going to be able to get them to move into some of the markets that you want them selling into. Customer types, these are more like private companies, professional companies, nonprofits, things like are not quite the verticals that the government puts out. That's really what the verticals are about. And then geographically too, are they selling into the right geographies? If you have a particular product and service that you're selling, let's say in the US, and you have to worry about calculating taxes, such as if you're doing a lot of telecom areas, you have to be able to calculate those taxes. Well, you just want to stick to the US. You might not be able to sell into Canada or other countries. So you got to look at those other areas that you may or may not be able to go into and where you need your partners there. Dina, you want to add into some of the profiles?
Yeah, well, one thing I just want to share, when you do a data-driven profile and you look at who your most successful partners are, if your product might be focused on one specific vertical, you'll be surprised to see that on occasion, your partner's best vertical that they're focused on might actually be one that's different. And so it's important to think about those things as what is their real focus, because it may turn into a productization exercise for you and your team to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, if you remember the slide back where Dina showed you that, it was how they matched up with the different verticals, like how their best partners were in these verticals and yet all their other partners are in a different one, and that doesn't rate as high. So but if that's you, you're one pushing the vertical and think that's the best, it might not be for your resellers. You may have to engage and rethink about what you're doing, either the partners you're recruiting or how do I change to match what my other partners are doing. So that's a good point. Next. Do you want to start here, Dina?
Sure. So this is all about the tech stack, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but in your worksheet, it's time to fill in who are your competitors, right? From a vendor standpoint, but also from the product name standpoint, because you could have a competitor who also has an adjacent product for you, or that makes sense to co-sell. And so also think, do you really want to go after competing companies that are selling your competitors' products, or do you want to stay clear of them? Those are questions you get to think about and ask strategically, because you may want to be looking for ones who are not selling Cisco already, as opposed to they must be selling Cisco, right? And so those are all ways to think about, who do these partners look like? Same thing with the adjacents, right? This we actually think is a more important indicator than a competitor or competing product, because seeing that they have enough of the right adjacent vendors in their tech stack will definitely show you either you'll learn from them what isn't in their tech stack, and you might want to be partnering with those vendors and products as well, or you'll get to know whether or not your product is actually fitting into a tech stack of a less active partner or not. So there's a lot of insights to be drawn from that. So put those down initially as what you think they are. Your data-driven profile will show you something different probably, but hopefully it will confirm that. The other thing that we have on here is your infrastructure ecosystem. So in terms of, you know, is there a need for your partners to be focused around AWS or Azure or Google Cloud or IBM or Oracle? Because having that focus on an infrastructure and having those competencies will also make a difference. So make sure to include those in here as well. If you think that it's not important, it may not be important, but you may find out that it actually is an important indicator as you do your data-driven profile.
Yeah, remember what Dina said about the competing vendors, that everyone wants to start there, and that is always a good place to start, because you may find something. Remember, a lot of solution providers change vendors when they're unhappy with them because something's happened where they did something and their clients got upset, disrupted them, or a lot of times you get these bigger vendors that will take business from one partner and give it to another in their channel program, and they get angry and they want to go someplace else. Or your product's so much better and your resellers are outselling them, then they're going to want to join your program. Other than that, you know, most, especially in the IT services space, partners stick with a vendor 5, 7, 8 years if you keep them happy. So when you look at the adjacents, it gives you a much better story to walk into and say, hey, Mr. Solution Provider, reseller, or MSP, I'm here, and you work with Microsoft, you work with Bitdefender or Darktrace or whatever the product happens to be. And this is how we work with them, and this is how we can help you extend your business and mitigate risks. And it's going to be a much better conversation trying to take head on your competition they may just be in love with, and it's going to be very hard to move. So that's another way of looking at this particular stack is what's also the easiest in that's going to be the less friction for a partner to say yes to me in my sales process.
Right. And I just want to bring forward that, you know, this doesn't just work with cybersecurity or managed services and IT. This works in marketing technology and sales technology and business intelligence and HR and IoT. And so, you know, keep in mind that what's custom to your product and solution is really something that you can hone in on and hyper target by finding those partners who have the sweet spot.
Exactly. Next. Okay, so deeper qualifications expertise, also very important. So we hear a lot of talk in the marketplace from a lot of different companies that are recruiting channel and looking at different channels they go after. And they do talk about some certification expertise, but these can be a really good piece to really understand when you look at the certifications that they've earned. Do they have the right certifications to be able to say, take your security product and do the work that they need to do with it? Or if you're into a BPO type of company, you're into business process automation, are they working with ISO? Are they working with GDPR? Do they have these types of certifications so that they can work with you? It also shows that they've taken the time and they've invested funds and people and time into getting these certifications so that they're going to be very dedicated to those types of products and services. Same as in partner program tiers. You know, a Microsoft Gold partner, which is way different than a Barracuda partner, or very different than a Microsoft small business partner. The programs tell you a lot about, if you understand those programs, what that partner is all about, how they're going to market, which products and services they're going to be doing, and what they're willing to do, and how deep are they in with a particular vendor as you go to talk to them. You know, are you going to be able to take them away from Dynamics if you're competing against it? Maybe, maybe not, but it tells you exactly how deep they are with them. Compliance is the same thing. If you're looking for resellers and solution providers that can take your product and they have the ability to be HIPAA compliant themselves, and they're doing HIPAA compliances into the medical realm, again, they've spent a lot of time, energy, and money in getting those certifications and having people on staff to be able to make sure that they're compliant, their clients are compliant. So it's going to tell you they have some really good expertise in that particular area to be able to sell into and to service and to work with those companies for you to, even if you're bringing in and you're providing leads to your customers, to your partners, that you're confident that you're not telling these clients that they can go with this company, but they don't have the compliancy. So it's good to know that. And then other nuances that you want to know: SLED, are they working? Are they a SLED partner? Can they be taking advantage of local governments and education? Where can they are they on different schedules? Like when you look at the different government schedules and buying schedules, can they take you into there? So it's a very, very important area that I think sometimes really does get overlooked. Dina, do you want to add to this slide?
No, I mean, I think you covered it pretty well. I think that, the next piece of what we want to recommend to you is, now that you've put this all down, and again, we don't expect you to get it all down right this minute, but we do expect you to share it with your stakeholders and make sure they get things down as well. We want to suggest that you go to the websites of those partners that you put at the start of this, your most successful, most active partners, and do a little audit and see what they're talking about, and see if it makes sense after looking at 5, 10, 15 of them. And you don't really have to look at that many more than that to get a feel for what they have in common. Put down those extra things that you might have overlooked that you're realizing are actually important to those businesses, because then you have your qualitative, what you thought was the hypothesized ideal profile, coupled with the research involved in validating that from a quantitative level, this is what they're interested in, this is what they're selling, this is where they're working with their customers. And then you have a much deeper, more interesting profile here to then share and get your stakeholders to buy into and move forward from.
And before we go to the next slide, just to remind everyone is go ahead and type in your questions. We're going to do Q&A here in just a little bit. Any questions you have or things you want to know about us, go ahead and type them in, and we'll get to those in about 5 minutes or so. Next slide.
Great. And the next slide would be good. Yeah, so in the next slide, what we show you here is an example that within our platform, when we take an ideal partner profile, we're able to create a search query and look among over 200,000 partners that we've profiled so far, and that's continually growing. And based upon what we learn about your ideal profile, we can then give you back a set of what we're calling a total addressable ideal partner market. Okay, so now it changes and alternates based upon what's important to you and what's not, but we like to break it down based upon how many fit at an excellent match, how many are at a very good level matching score, and how many are at a good matching score. So we'll be able to show that to you, and it's the first time ever that channel chiefs are able to get their arms around a global estimate of total number of partners that match your ideal profile. And we would love to share that with you if you want to submit and share your worksheet with us.
So great, yeah. Take your time, get the sheet done, get it back to us, like Dina said, and whether it might take you a week to get this done and get all the people involved, or provide that to us, and you can start to really understand what's available out there. So, Laura, do we have some questions? You're on mute yet, I think. You're on mute.
2, right? So there appears to be this slight delay. I click things and then it doesn't quite happen at the moment. So
you're looking like your Star Trek.
I apologize for the next slide. I'm like, I clicked, it's just not appearing for you. We have a couple questions that have come in so far. One is, do you typically see vendors with different products that have different partner profiles per product?
Yes, we do see that a lot. And it's a lot of what we do when we're working with some of our bigger customers that have 5,000, 2,000, or 35,000 partners, right? You typically don't have just one product or service you're selling, you're doing multiples. So again, there we can, what we do there in many cases is to, one, analyze their best partners in each product stack and profile those and create a data-driven profile, which then we can profile the entire channel base, the channel ecosystem of that customer or client, and then compare that, say 35,000 to each profile, say in this profile, you have 1,000 partners that are already signed up with you that meet these criteria, and you should be focusing on them foremost. Then we can take that and look externally for each product and say, here's your TAM that's not within your ecosystem that you may want to consider recruiting after you go out to that low-hanging fruit, or maybe you want to do both at the same time. Dina, anything to add?
Yeah, well, just let's say you're let's say you have a set of products that are all within a similar business category, right, or a similar solution set, but because they're different and require some different skill sets or do different things, we need to tweak that ideal profile to accommodate and look for those specific. Like, let's say you have an enterprise solution, but you also have an SMB solution. We want to do a different ideal partner profile to study that, because it'll be a different set of partners, and you'll learn a lot about what those are. So consider that as you are looking at your best partners. Are there any general differences that they have that, you know, are they selling more enterprise in one partner or partner set versus selling small business? Because that will impact how you look at and your total number of partners available to you and which ones to go after and recruit.
Yeah, and I think another important piece to that question, actually, when you think about it, is you may have several profiles for just one product, partner profiles, ideal partner profiles, because in this day and age, especially where we're moving away from a lot of the gold, platinum, silver type of programs, and you're building a program for, say, a managed service provider type company that's providing managed services. Well, that's great for that type of a business model, but you may want to expand your business model to allow more channel members to participate with you, and you may be coming out with a free referral program or an affiliate program. These are separate, these are actually kind of separate disciplines, and they require a different set of partners to go out and sell in that way, in that manner, to meet that. You know, because each one of those companies, depending on what they are, like a managed service provider, they like to do the billing on the products. They like to be providing a lot of services around the products. They like to wrap those into their services. Or you get a regular reseller who just wants to refer business to you. So they're going to market your product and might put some sales on it and then send the lead back to you. So it's really important to understand that for the different channel aspects as well, as in the financial models that you're providing out there, it's a different type of partner, a different set of partner.
The next question that came in is around the way the material was presented since it changed page numbers. You started out working on page 2, then went to 4, then to 3. Is that how you recommend the form is actually filled out, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. There's no rhyme or reason why we put the slides together compared to what's on the form. It's more about each bucket itself. So each annotator or each term that you're looking at. No, there was no reason for that.
The only thing that we would suggest may be a little different is put your best partners at the top. You know, do that part, that very last question, do that first, which is what we suggested, because that will change how you're thinking about what goes into all of these buckets. So that's the only shift. Okay.
In all the numbers of ideal partner profiles that you have seen come in, is there, I know I'm trying to merge a couple of different questions that have come in, okay? So bear with me as I do that. It seems like the gist of what people want to understand, is there one area that when you apply it into the PartnerOptimizer data, you find that that is a really critical element to get the best data out with this total, the offer that you've made? To get more to the good or the excellent.
That's a good question, right? And what we've been, I know Clint has his opinions on it, and I think you're going to say solutions and services, which I agree with, but we are continually studying that and optimizing our search algorithms to improve upon those things all the time. So the thing is, the more you know about each of these buckets, the better. But then we do find that the partners tend to talk most about what their expertise is in regards to which solutions and services they're specialized in. And typically you enter the most terms and the most thoughts or the most description into that section, because that really is one of the most important components, right? You might be a digital marketing agency, you might be an e-commerce agency, you might be an influencer, referral type of person, or an accountant, but it's important that you have knowledge and insight and expertise around the subject matter, the product and solution set, in order to be able to talk the talk with with their customers. Clinton,
Yeah, I agree with Dina on that. It's the solutions and services, and then make the company types. I like the first three on that area, and the company persona really is the company types, solutions and services, and product types is, to me, like the base of the base. And then the other things are what you put on top of it to find specifically more about that. That's how you really cut that down, in my opinion, is that's your base DNA profile. And then you're putting additional genes on top of it, like your vendors. And there's reasons for that. Like if you engage with us, there's reasons why I see that. They're all just as important to me. All the different fields that we have, they're all very important, but it's kind of like the horse before the cart before the horse is what I would say to that.
Okay. We have time for a couple more questions, everybody, so please feel free to type them into the question pane. This question came in and it's around two of the slides. They don't have the slide numbers, but they mentioned the actionable insights, and I think they're referring to slides 9 and 10, where you had the purple and the gray. That's what they're saying, in the purple and the gray. Where do they enter that onto the form to make sure that those terms are gathered to make sure they're looking at the right data? I'm thinking, just hearing this out, I'm thinking it's on page under the prioritization and important key terms, but I'm not really sure.
So that table was an aggregation of all terms identified. So if you're filling out the form, and in each bucket you're putting those solutions and services and competencies and verticals and company types, you will put that all in, and a table like that will basically aggregate terms that we're identifying and rank them. And that's just one example, very high level, of how we show those terms that do show up, and which ones show up the most. But we can do that no matter what bucket that they're into.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun part too, and it can also be the aggravating part. And like when Dina said, think first about your best partners. When you think your best partners, write them down, and then go in and start, putting down what you think these companies all do and their solutions and services. And then later on, Dina said, go to their websites and take a look at it. Well, this is where it starts to become fun, because you're going to have listed, say, 10 or 15 things in solutions and services you're listed over here, and there's going to be a good number of those you'd never find in any of those websites. But it puts you in that mindset. Look, well, let me really look at what my partners are selling. What are they saying to their client bases? And then you start seeing a lot of different connections, and it gets to be fun, and you can lose yourself in it. Well, at least I do. But I find it fun.
Keep in mind this kind of comparable, right? Like a lot of us will go on Google or a search engine to start looking for partners, and we type in 1 or 2 or 3 terms. This tells us hundreds of terms right away that are 50% or more in your most common, your aggregate, your best partners and what they're doing. And so, we can then so easily create queries based upon 100, 200 terms. Not that that's fun to do, but to see an engine do it for you, to aggregate what those terms are and say, based upon these 100 terms, we can now tell you which partners are rising to the surface within your own partner base, or else finding net new. It makes it very simple to do that, but it's also a search engine that's basically tweaked and programmed to look for all of that and to bring it to the surface, whereas a generic global search engine is not going to have that same domain specific focus.
Yeah, that's what you're going to find, is that it's fun at first, like Dina said, that you're doing that a little bit. But when you're trying to feed a channel team, and you're trying to feed channel marketing, and you're trying to feed the engine to really get at this, you don't want to be doing that by hand. And by the time you get it done, it'll take you 6 months to do anything that's reasonable for marketing or for your teams, to keep your teams busy. and to keep them really recruiting the best stuff. So we do that in a week. It's just, boom, it's done.
Right.
So,
You want to put your talented channel salespeople and your channel account managers on what they do well, which is talking to the right partners, activating them, onboarding, training them, staying in touch with them, partnering with them. You don't want them mining for partners constantly, for new partners. You want them really to do what you're paying them to do, which is drive new transactions. So this allows you to have up front the set of right partners and the set of ranked partners to spend the most time with.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, one last question that has come in was around the comment that Dina made that currently there's over 200,000 partners profiled. If we were to send this in, is this a process that can be applied to our existing channel partners that we have to go through it and see where our existing partners are to then weed out or reinforce and then do new partner recruitment as well?
So that's a great question. Yes, we do that a lot where we start with a set of existing partners in a channel ecosystem, in a channel company or team. And from there, we'll basically rank and stack those compared to your ideal profile so that you can see which ones are worth your time, that are excellent, very good, and good. Then a bunch might be maybe, and a bunch might be, lose it, right? Just get rid of them because you're wasting your time and money on them. But once we do that, we can also take all we need from you on this process in our engine, in the platform, is domain names. So once you feed it the domain names, whether you get them from a conference or whether you get them through a list or whether you have a set of emails that you think have the right domain names for partners that you're interested in, we can then benchmark against your ideal partner profile very quickly. And from there, it's going to tell you again which ones rise to the top and to spend the most time on, which are your Glengarry partner matches. Because again, you don't want to spend time on the wrong ones. So yeah, whether it's within your ecosystem or whether it's external to your ecosystem, we can help identify those. And it's more important to have those than it is to consider whether they're in or outside your ecosystem. If they're in it, of course, that's a lot easier. You've acquired them already. So now it's about getting their attention again. And if you have the right conversation points and you know what their business is about, you can, and you know that they're an ideal partner, you should do everything possible to get in front of them and make them realize that this is a great partnership to be monetized.
Great. That was the last question. So I want to thank both of you for all the great information you shared today. And last thought you'd like to share with everybody before we sign off and the survey pops up?
My last thought is if you have any questions as you go through completing your ideal partner profile, just feel free to shoot us an email and let us know. It's not about pitching you on what we're doing, but it's about giving you the skills to take your career forward and have a more productive channel. So we're happy to help. We love helping, and we just want to make sure that you capture all of this that we've shared with you today and be able to deploy it into your program.
Did what Dina said. I'm here to help you. I love working with channel people and the channel people who get it. And, if I can be part of their success, I'm more than happy to be part of mine too. So, yeah, reach out to us.
Perfect. Dina, did you have something else?
No, that's just cool.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, that's the end of our webinar today. We want to thank you all for being here with us. Clint and Dina's emails are up on the screen and have been up there for a little bit. If you have trouble, as Dina said, filling out the ideal partner profile, or you've got it completed and you'd like to grab your free information that we're offering, please reach out. We are here to support you, to help you grow your channel. And as a former MSP, from my perspective, it would be so great if every channel provider did this so that when you reach out to us, you know as close as possible that we are the best partner for you. Nobody likes to have their time wasted, not from either side of the equation inside the channel. So have a great day, everyone, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Happy profiling.